Well, it's time for me to kind of solve a problem that I'm not sure how big of a problem it is, but the 99 Mustang had this intake on it. This air filter and kind of cold air intake on it, and it's got a K&N permanent filter in here, and it works fine, except that on the original car, this part of it right here, was mounted in the car like that. This little snout, whatever you want to call it, it used to go through a hole in the inner fender, and it pulled air from that void up in there, so it was pulling in cold air, not engine compartment air. I don't even have room for this, so I've been using it like that, just with this open cavity, which is generally just pulling in air from the engine compartment. There's no real separation between the ridiculously hot air under the hood and this. So I'm going to change all that right now. Where I'm mounting this is where the battery box used to be in the car. So it's generally the same location as in the 99 Mustang, except there's nothing set up to accommodate this. So I've got a 3.5-inch mandrel bend, 90-degree mandrel bend coming Saturday, and I'm going to come up from the bottom of the battery box location and into a piece that I'm making. I'm basically going to extend this piece right here to give me the room I need to come up into the bottom of it with that 3.5-inch piece of pipe. So let me show you where this sits, and then I'll stick this back in the car so you can kind of see what the issues are. So in the 66 Mustang, the battery box itself, it was really a battery holder. It used to mount right here. There's a couple holes in the bottom of this, and it was flat, and it had a hold down that was built into it. That used to all be right here. I've taken that out. So the 99 intake sort of fits right here. It bolts to right there, and this is the area I need to modify in order to receive the new pipe. So let me stick that intake in, and you'll see the issues that I'm having and how I plan to solve it. All right, that's more or less it. It bolts right here. So I've got this void that is right in here. Like this is right now the open part. And I need to basically connect this to something coming out of this down below here. The pipe that comes out of that will go forward right behind the stone shield. So it'll be pretty protected from road debris and whatnot, and it will be certainly picking up the coldest version of intake air that the car would have. So my plan is I'm going to put a plastic bag in here, like a trash bag. In fact, I've got it right over here. So I'm going to put this bag in here and just kind of loosely set it in there so it's hitting all the areas that I want to fill. And then I'm going to fill this with not fill it, but I'm going to put a 2-part foam in there that's going to expand up out here. And I'm actually using the Sika fence post foam. It's a 2-part foam. You can buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's only $10. I'll probably use less than half of it for this. It's pretty cool stuff. And it dries hard even with something this thick. If I used, in fact I tried it, I tried to use like Great Stuff, the stuff used for filling cracks. The problem with that stuff is it really needs air to for the catalyst to work and for the stuff to harden. So you get the outside that's hard, but the inside, something this thick would take months for it to harden, and I don't have months. I want to get this done, and I think this Sika fence post stuff will get hard in less than 30 minutes. So my plan is to pour this, and that's going to create a foam mold of all of the inside of this cavity, of the opening on this box, kind of everything down there. And then what I'll do is I'll take this all apart, and I'll take that foam mold and attach it to this just with tape. And then I'll start shaping it. I'll rasp away what I don't want, or cut away what I don't want, and begin to give it some shape. And making sure that the very bottom of it has enough surface area to receive that, and in the right location, to receive that 3.5-inch pipe. Once I've got the shape the way I want it, I'm going to cover it with fiberglass. Not terribly thick, 1 or 2 layers of fiberglass. And at that point, I'm probably going to staple the fiberglass cloth to this, all around this edge, so that I can begin connecting the two together. Because after I do the fiberglass, I'm going to put body filler on it to really clean it up and make it nice. And all of this will get sanded, so it'll all look like one kind of odd shaped but custom fit unit. And then I'll paint the whole thing either hot rod black, which is the color of the engine bay, or maybe the car paint color, the red. I might try it both ways just to see, just for the fun of it. I mean, I've got to paint it some color. And then down below here, I'll drill the hole once I receive the pipe and confirm what the outside diameter is. I'll drill the hole for that. I'll probably put windlace or something around that hole just to make it so it's not, just sharp metal touching the stainless steel pipe. I'll make that thing as perfect as I can so that stainless steel pipe slides right in there. And then I'll use that to mark the bottom of this new contraption. And then I'll make something to connect to where that stainless steel pipe can come up into this. And it will probably be nothing more than some type of gasketed joint where it just slides up in it. But I don't think I'm going to bolt it to it or anything like that. I think it would make it extremely difficult to remove this, because you do still have to be able to remove this. I'll mechanically fasten that stainless steel pipe from underneath, but I will need to be able to, release this and take it off to get to the filter from time to time, or just to remove it to work on something else. So the next step is I'm going to put the bag in here and mix up the material. In fact, I'll go ahead and put the bag in here now, and then we'll go back over to the bench and mix up the 2-part fence post foam. All right, so that's where I want it. And I just want to make sure the bag is kind of loose enough to get everywhere that like there's enough slack bag to get everywhere where I want foam. I definitely want more foam than not enough foam. And in the end, the foam isn't going to come up any higher than this once I cut it all down. But I do want to make sure that I've got enough area for the bag to expand. All right, so that's good. And let's move over to the bench. Okay, so this is that Pro Select fence post mix. It's made by Sika, S-I-K-A. I guess that's how you pronounce it. This is in 2 parts. So I'm going to cut right between the two parts, being careful not to cut into the bag. I'm going to cut along the part where it's heat sealed. Just because I don't want any of this stuff pouring out until I'm ready. All right. And then I've got a couple of cups here. And I'm just going to cut the corner off one part. I don't know which one is the part A and which one's the part B. It doesn't really matter to me. We're just going to do equal parts of both. Okay, so there's one of the parts. And here's the other part. More or less equal amounts of each. Found a rag. Okay. So the instructions on this stuff, I think say you're supposed to mix it for like 20 seconds. Incidentally, this also says it's equal in volume to 2 50-pound bags of concrete mix. And I've used this stuff on the job site where we put in fence posts or even a big screen room where the 6x6s were down in the ground. Instead of using concrete, we use this stuff. And it is pretty amazing how well it works. So I'm going to mix these two together in a bucket, which I'm considering to be disposable, because if this is like any normal polyurethane foam, whatever it touches is pretty much destroyed. So I'm going to mix it for about 15 seconds, and then I'm going to bring it over there and start to put it in. In fact, I'm going to move the camera so you can see the reaction when I start mixing it. All right, so here goes nothing. All right, that seems pretty thoroughly mixed. Now we'll go over to the car. All right, I'm going to pour it in here. I can already feel the heat of this. I can feel that the loose bag just kind of fell. I'm going to pull that up a bit. So it's puffing up in there a bit, and I'm just going to make sure it's sticking out everywhere I want it to. These all right, I gotta pause this for a minute. Hello? Hey, how are you? This is Craig. Yes. All right, yeah, I appreciate it. I moved my office to my house and now I'm completely dead in the water. No phone, no internet, and it's pretty painful, but I understand, you know, it's kind of painful all the way around for everybody. Yes. Okay. You too, bye-bye. Okay, so it's amazingly firm and warm. But the places where I want it to be squishing out, it appears to be like, let's see if we can see. So these areas right down here, you know, that's showing me that the foam is down into all those little nooks and crannies where I want it. I can feel it underneath here, which I'm certain it's poking into here. So I'm going to let it sit for 30 minutes, mostly just to cool off and, you know, finish doing what it's doing. I think it's probably expanded as much as it's going to expand, but we'll see. I'll come back in 30 minutes and we'll remove the air cleaner and, you know, that whole assembly and see what we're left with. All right, it's been a while and I'll pull this thing out of here and see what it looks like. I'm going to have to take it apart in a little bit. So the foam punched in to here, which is good. That's exactly what I wanted because I needed the shape of that. All right, fantastic. So let's go over to the bench and look at it. All right, so here it is. Not even sure I'll be able to get the plastic off of it. Not that oh yeah, it should come off pretty easily. That plastic, I mean plastic bag. Fantastic. So this shape right here is the, where it kind of went into there a little bit. These two little indentations right here are for these, which is nice. That means this thing really mates pretty well together. And it's a pretty perfect print. I'm going to stick in the car in a minute without this, but it should be a pretty perfect print of the inside of that battery box area. So if it all works out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a top elevation, which will be somewhere below the line of the fender, which is below or around where this bolt is. So somewhere here, even it off, blend it in with this. And then everywhere where it touches the car, where it's following the contour of the car, I'm going to cut it back maybe a ½ inch in every dimension, and then just begin to kind of smooth it all and make the curves as fair as I can make them, and try to make the transitions to this as good as I can make them. And the finished product hopefully will look like one big piece. On the bottom part of it here, I'm going to cut it pretty far back from where it was sitting down on the car. This is where it was sitting down on the old bottom of the battery tray holder. So I'm going to come up from that probably 1.5 inches. There'll be plenty of space there because this is where that new 3.5 inch pipe is going in. So we'll go to the car and see how this piece fits in without the rest of it, just to see what it looks like.